Have you ever been left feeling like someone had complete power over your emotions? Perhaps they walked away, leaving you desperate for answers, clinging to the hope that one day they'd realize your worth and come back. What if I told you there's a way to flip the entire script? A way to make them come crawling back, consumed by regret and longing. Imagine the power you'd feel in knowing that their every thought revolves around you, not because you begged, pleaded, or chased, but because you reclaimed your power and transformed into someone they could never have imagined losing. This isn't about manipulation or petty revenge. No, it's about embracing the essence of Stoicism, focusing on what you can control, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today, I'll guide you through 9 transformative steps that will not only shift the dynamics of your relationship, but will also elevate your self-worth and confidence to an entirely new level. And here's the best part. By the time you finish this journey, you might find that their return doesn't matter to you at all. Stay with me until the end, because the most important secret lies in the final step. Are you ready to step into your power and master not only your relationships but also yourself? Let's begin. 1. Reclaim your power through self-mastery. What does it mean to reclaim your power? Is it about taking control of others, bending them to your will, or forcing them to recognize your worth? A Stoic would say no. Power lies not in what you can make others do, but in how you master your own thoughts, emotions, and actions. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Right now, you may feel powerless. Perhaps they've left you hanging, treating you like an afterthought. But ask yourself this: why do their actions hold so much sway over your happiness? Is it because you've given them the power to determine your worth? If so, the good news is that you can take it back, starting today. Reclaiming your power begins with a single decision: to stop seeking validation from them. When you chase someone either physically or emotionally, you hand them control over your well-being. Each unanswered text or dismissive glance feels like a blow to your self-esteem, because you've placed your value in their hands. But what if you could free yourself from that dependence? Here's how you do it. Shift your focus inward. Instead of asking, "Why don't they see my worth?" ask yourself, "Do I see my own worth?" This is the essence of Stoicism, recognizing that the only approval you truly need is your own. When you begin to see yourself as the prize, everything changes. You no longer bend over backward for someone who fails to appreciate you, because you've built a foundation of self-respect that doesn't crumble under their indifference. But self-mastery isn't easy. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. Are you willing to ask the hard questions? Are you prepared to take an honest look at where you've been compromising your dignity for the sake of their attention? This process is not about punishing yourself for past mistakes, but about growing stronger through them. Let's get practical. Start by identifying areas of your life where you've allowed their opinions to dictate your actions. Have you stopped pursuing a hobby you loved because they didn't seem interested? Have you changed the way you dress, speak, or carry yourself to fit their preferences? Strip away these layers and reconnect with who you are at your core. This isn't about pretending to be someone new, it's about rediscovering the person you've always been but perhaps lost sight of. As you begin this transformation, something remarkable will happen. They will notice the shift in your energy. The person who once seemed so predictable to them, the one they believed they could take for granted, will start to feel like a mystery. They'll wonder what's changed, why you're no longer reacting to them the way you used to. And that's when the dynamic begins to shift in your favor. But remember, this isn't a game or a tactic. Reclaiming your power is not about manipulating them into coming back. It's about freeing yourself from the need for them to come back at all. Ironically, this newfound independence is often what draws people in, because it's deeply attractive to see someone who stands strong in their own identity. Let me ask you this: what would it feel like to wake up every day knowing that your happiness isn't tied to anyone else's actions? Picture yourself walking through life with a quiet confidence, unshaken by rejection or indifference. That's the power of self-mastery, and it's within your reach. So are you ready to take back the reins of your life? If so, this is just the beginning. In the next step, we'll explore how to shift your energy field to create an irresistible aura of confidence and independence. Stay with me, your transformation is only just beginning. 2. Shift your energy field. How do you make this shift? Start by focusing on activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Have you been neglecting your hobbies, passions, or friendships because your energy was consumed by them? Now is the time to rediscover those parts of yourself. Go out, explore, create, and connect, not to make them jealous, but because these things genuinely enrich your life. Another powerful way to shift your energy is through self-care. This isn't just about physical appearance, although looking your best can certainly boost your confidence. It's also about emotional and mental well-being. Are you getting enough rest? Are you feeding your mind with uplifting books, inspiring content, or even practices like journaling or meditation? When you invest in yourself, your energy naturally transforms. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop broadcasting neediness and start radiating confidence, they will feel the difference. They'll sense that something has changed, even if you haven't said a word. Suddenly, the person they thought they could predict, the one they assumed would always be there, is no longer playing by the same rules. This creates a void, a sense of uncertainty, and that uncertainty will start to pull them back toward you. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're no longer the person sitting by the phone waiting for their text. Instead, you're out living your life, fully present in the moment. Maybe you're laughing with friends, working on a passion project, or simply enjoying a quiet evening with a book. When they reach out, and trust me, they will, you're no longer the one who jumps at the first chance to respond. Your energy is calm, measured, and self-assured. Do you see how powerful that is? But I must warn you, this transformation isn't easy. It takes discipline and a willingness to resist old habits. There will be moments when you're tempted to slip back into patterns of overthinking or overgiving. When that happens, remind yourself that this isn't just about them. It's about reclaiming your own peace, your own joy, and your own power. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What steps are you taking to shift your energy field? Are there habits or thought patterns you're ready to let go of? Let's make this interactive. Leave a comment below with one thing you're committing to do for yourself this week. Whether it's starting a new hobby, practicing gratitude, or simply taking a break from social media, I want to know your plans for reclaiming your energy. If you're finding this advice helpful, go ahead and like this video and let me know in the comments. And if you're ready to dive deeper into this journey of transformation, stay tuned. Next, we'll explore how becoming unpredictable can completely flip the dynamic in your favor. You won't want to miss it. 3. Become unpredictable. Predictability is comforting, isn't it? It creates a sense of safety and control. But in relationships, predictability often leads to complacency, and complacency kills attraction. People take for granted what they believe will always be there. So how do you change that? By becoming unpredictable, not in a chaotic or manipulative way, but in a manner that keeps them intrigued, curious, and continually engaged. Ask yourself, have they become too comfortable in knowing how you'll react? Do they expect you to text first, to apologize first, to be the one who always mends the relationship? If so, it's time to disrupt that pattern. Unpredictability isn't about being erratic or playing games. It's about breaking free from routines that no longer serve you. It's about showing them that you are dynamic, evolving, and not bound to the role they've assigned you. One day, you might respond to them warmly and engagingly. The next, you might let the conversation rest, not out of spite, but because you're genuinely focused on your own life. This keeps them guessing and shifts the balance of power in subtle yet profound ways. Think about it. When someone can no longer predict your every move, they're forced to pay closer attention. They begin to question their assumptions, wondering if they've misjudged you or underestimated your value. This uncertainty creates an emotional pull, a desire to reestablish the connection they once thought was entirely in their control. But how do you introduce unpredictability without losing your authenticity? Start by shaking up your daily habits. If you're used to always being the one who initiates contact, pause and let them reach out first. If you've been putting their needs ahead of your own, take a step back and focus on what truly matters to you. This isn't about neglecting the relationship, it's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that may have been overshadowed. When they start to notice these changes, and they will, it will create a powerful effect. Suddenly, they'll see you in a new light, not as someone who's always available, but as someone who values themselves enough to set boundaries. And that's incredibly attractive. Becoming unpredictable is also a form of growth. It challenges you to step outside your comfort zone, to explore new interests, and to embrace change. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." By becoming someone who is constantly evolving, you not only command their attention but also deepen your own self-awareness. The beauty of unpredictability is that it naturally aligns with your journey of self-improvement. As you focus on personal growth, your actions will become less about responding to them and more about honoring your own needs. And in doing so, you'll create a sense of intrigue that draws them back toward you. Let this shift happen naturally. There's no need to force it or overthink it. When you prioritize your own growth and happiness, unpredictability becomes a natural byproduct of living authentically. And that authenticity is what will make them realize that they can no longer take you for granted. 4. Invoke the scarcity principle. Imagine holding something precious in your hands, knowing it's rare and irreplaceable. Now imagine losing it. That pang of loss, that sense of regret, it's a powerful motivator, isn't it? This is the essence of the scarcity principle. People value what is rare and fear losing what they once had. If you've always been readily available, always there to fill their gaps, it's time to create a sense of scarcity around yourself. When you're constantly present, constantly giving, they may begin to see your attention as a given rather than a gift. And why wouldn't they? If you're always the one initiating contact, making plans, or ensuring the relationship stays afloat, you've unintentionally taught them to expect your availability. But what happens when you pull back? What happens when the person they thought would always be there suddenly isn't? The scarcity principle is not about disappearing entirely or playing hard to get. It's about creating strategic distance, giving them just enough space to feel the absence of your presence. This absence isn't meant to punish them. It's meant to remind them of your value. When you stop being the one to always fill the silence, they're forced to confront the void. And in that silence, they'll begin to realize what they've lost. How do you apply this in your life? Start by saying no more often. If you've been overextending yourself to meet their needs, set boundaries. If you've been the one always texting first, let the phone rest. This isn't about neglecting the relationship, but about rebalancing it. By creating space, you allow them to take initiative and demonstrate their willingness to invest in you. At first, this shift may feel uncomfortable. You might worry that pulling back will push them away entirely. But here's the truth. If they truly value you, they'll notice the shift and begin to step forward. And if they don't, then they were never willing to meet you halfway, and their absence will make room for someone who will. Think of this as an act of self-respect. As Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By invoking the scarcity principle, you reclaim control over your energy and ensure that it's spent on those who genuinely value it. Remember, the goal is not to make them suffer, but to give them the opportunity to appreciate your worth. Sometimes people don't realize how much they value something until it's no longer readily available. By creating scarcity, you give them the chance to reflect on what you bring to their life and to take action if they want to keep it. Let this principle guide you, but always with intention and integrity. The goal is not to manipulate, but to realign the relationship in a way that honors your worth. And as you embrace this step, you'll find that the power dynamics begin to shift in your favor. When they come back, and they likely will, it will be because they've recognized the value of what they nearly lost. And that realization is priceless. 5. Master emotional ambiguity. What if they couldn't quite figure you out? What if they spent sleepless nights wondering where they stand with you, questioning whether you've moved on or whether you still care? That's the power of mastering emotional ambiguity, becoming an enigma they can't easily solve. When you stop being transparent about your emotions, you create a tension that draws them back to you, not because of manipulation, but because of their innate human need for clarity and connection. Let's start with a question. Are you too easy to read? When they pull away, do you react in predictable ways, texting more, calling, or seeking reassurance? If so, you're reinforcing their sense of control over the relationship. They know exactly what to expect, and that predictability gives them a sense of safety that often leads to complacency. But here's the truth. Attraction thrives in uncertainty. To master emotional ambiguity, you must learn to regulate your reactions. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or playing games. It means responding with composure and intentionality. When they send a vague text, don't rush to overanalyze it or respond immediately. Instead, take your time and answer with a calm detachment that leaves them wondering. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Why is this so effective? Because humans are wired to seek closure. When they can't predict your emotions, they'll begin to question their own actions. Did they push you too far? Have they lost you for good? This uncertainty triggers a deep psychological response, one that compels them to seek your attention and approval once more. But emotional ambiguity isn't about being cold or distant. It's about balance. One day you might engage warmly, sharing a meaningful conversation. The next you're focused on yourself, leaving them with space to reflect. This back and forth keeps them on their toes, forcing them to reevaluate their place in your life. Think of it like a game of chess. Each move you make is deliberate, calculated, not out of manipulation, but out of a deep understanding of your own value. You're no longer playing their game of control. Instead, you're creating a dynamic where they must invest in understanding you. And that investment is what brings them closer. Let me give you an example. Imagine they've started pulling away. In the past, you might have responded with panic, asking what's wrong or trying harder to win them back. But this time, you choose a different path. When they withdraw, you don't chase. Instead, you remain calm, going about your life as if nothing has changed. When they reach out, you respond with kindness but without desperation. This subtle shift sends a powerful message. You're no longer controlled by their actions. Of course, this isn't always easy. You may feel the urge to clarify your feelings, to seek reassurance, or to make your intentions known. But remember, true power lies in restraint. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The discomfort you feel in holding back is not a barrier. It's the very path to reclaiming your strength. Ask yourself, what do you want your energy to convey? Do you want to project neediness, or do you want to radiate confidence and self-respect? When you choose the latter, you become someone worth chasing, someone who commands attention not through words but through presence. Now, let's make this interactive. Reflect on how you've handled emotional ambiguity in the past. Have you been too quick to reveal your feelings, or have you left room for mystery? Share your thoughts in the comments below. What's one way you can practice emotional restraint this week? Whether it's delaying a response to a message or focusing on your own needs before reacting, I want to hear your ideas. And if this resonates with you, take a moment to like this video and let me know how you're planning to implement this principle. Your journey of transformation is unique, and your perspective might inspire someone else who's watching. Next, we'll discuss an even more subtle yet powerful strategy, planting the seed of doubt. It's a step that can completely shift the way they see you and themselves. Stay tuned, because this is where the game changes. 6. Plant the seed of doubt. What happens when someone starts questioning their own choices? When they replay their actions over and over, wondering if they made a mistake? This is the power of planting the seed of doubt, a subtle yet profoundly effective way to shift the dynamics in your favor. Doubt has the unique ability to make people second-guess their decisions, and when used ethically, it becomes a catalyst for self-reflection and change. Ask yourself, how much certainty have you been giving them? Have you made it clear that your feelings are unwavering, that you'll always be there no matter what? If so, you've created a dynamic where they have no reason to question their actions. But when you introduce just enough ambiguity, everything changes. Suddenly, they're no longer sure of where they stand with you, and that uncertainty begins to pull them back. How do you plant this seed of doubt? Start by shifting your focus inward and allowing your actions to speak for themselves. Instead of explaining yourself, let your growth and independence create a quiet question in their mind. Have they moved on? Are they happier without me? These questions can be far more powerful than any words you could say. For example, let's say you've been distant, focusing on your own life and passions. When they reach out, you respond warmly but without the eagerness they've come to expect. You're kind, but you don't overshare. You might casually mention that you've been busy with new opportunities or spending time with friends, but you don't elaborate. This creates a gap in the narrative, a space where their imagination fills in the blanks. And in that space, doubt begins to grow. It's important to approach this step with integrity. Planting the seed of doubt is not about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about reclaiming your energy and allowing them to see the natural consequences of their actions. When someone takes you for granted, it's often because they believe your presence is a guarantee. By stepping back and focusing on yourself, you remind them that your time and attention are privileges, not entitlements. Doubt also forces them to reflect on their own behavior. Have they underestimated you? Have they lost something valuable? These questions can lead to a deeper understanding of what you brought to their life, something they may have overlooked in the past. As Epictetus said, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. When you detach from needing their validation, you create a scarcity that compels them to reevaluate their priorities. Planting the seed of doubt also strengthens your own resilience. It requires you to resist the urge to clarify, to explain, or to seek reassurance. This restraint is an act of self-discipline, a hallmark of Stoicism. By choosing not to react impulsively, you cultivate inner strength and allow space for them to come to their own realizations. As you embrace this step, remember that doubt is a powerful motivator. It creates a longing to resolve the uncertainty, and that longing often leads them back to you. But by the time they return, you'll have grown so much that the decision to let them back into your life will be entirely on your terms. 7. Master emotional ambiguity. Emotional ambiguity is a rare art. It's the ability to keep your feelings and intentions unreadable, creating a sense of mystery that draws others toward you. When someone can't fully understand where they stand with you, it keeps them intrigued, engaged, and most importantly, invested. But let's clarify one thing. Emotional ambiguity is not about manipulation. It's not about sending mixed signals or playing with someone's emotions. Instead, it's about cultivating a calm, composed presence that leaves room for interpretation. It's about letting your actions reflect your growth and independence without laying all your cards on the table. How does this look in practice? Imagine they reach out after a period of silence. In the past, you might have immediately responded, pouring out your emotions or seeking to repair the connection. But now you choose a different approach. You reply when it feels right, not immediately, not out of desperation, but with a calm and measured tone. Your words are kind but not overly revealing, leaving them curious about what you're feeling. Why is this so effective? Because humans crave certainty, and when they can't fully predict your emotions, it creates tension. That tension is what keeps them thinking about you, replaying interactions and wondering what's going on in your mind. They may even begin to question their own feelings, realizing that they're more invested in you than they thought. Mastering emotional ambiguity also means resisting the urge to over-explain yourself. When they ask questions like, "What's been going on with you?" or "Are you upset with me?" you don't need to provide detailed answers. Instead, respond in a way that's truthful but leaves room for interpretation. For example, you might say, "I've just been focused on a few new things lately," without elaborating. This response is honest but vague, allowing them to fill in the blanks. The beauty of emotional ambiguity is that it aligns perfectly with the principles of Stoicism. As Marcus Aurelius advised, you should be upright, not be kept upright. In other words, your strength and composure should come from within, not from their reactions or reassurances. By maintaining a calm and steady demeanor, you show that you're in control of your emotions, no matter what they do. It's worth noting that mastering emotional ambiguity can be challenging, especially if you're used to wearing your heart on your sleeve. You may feel tempted to clarify your intentions or seek validation. But remember, this practice is not about shutting off your emotions. It's about channeling them in a way that protects your peace and commands respect. As you develop this skill, you'll notice a shift in the way they perceive you. The person they once thought they could predict becomes a mystery, someone they can't quite figure out but can't stop thinking about. And that's the power of emotional ambiguity. It makes you unforgettable. 8. Activate their fear of missing out, FOMO. Have you ever scrolled through social media and felt a pang of regret or longing because you weren't part of a moment or event? That feeling, the fear of missing out, is universal. It's human nature to want what we feel we're losing or can no longer have. When it comes to relationships, activating their FOMO can be one of the most powerful ways to draw them back to you. Right now, they may believe they have you figured out. Perhaps they think your life revolves around them, that you're stuck in the past, or that nothing significant will change in their absence. But what happens when you prove them wrong? What happens when they see you thriving, growing, and moving forward in ways they never anticipated? That's when the fear of missing out begins to gnaw at them, pulling them back toward you. The key to activating their FOMO lies in living your life fully and unapologetically, but with a touch of mystery. This doesn't mean putting on a performance or faking happiness. It means genuinely investing in yourself, exploring new opportunities, and creating a life that excites you. When you do this, the energy you project becomes magnetic, and they'll start to wonder, what am I missing out on? For example, imagine you've been working on a new skill, traveling to new places, or simply spending more time with friends who uplift you. Share glimpses of this growth, not in a boastful or overly curated way, but naturally and authentically. A photo of a new project you're passionate about, a quick post about an exciting experience, or even a casual mention of a book or event that inspired you can create intrigue. The goal isn't to make them jealous, but to show that your life is vibrant and full, even without their presence. But here's the trick. Don't reveal everything. Leave gaps in the story, moments of ambiguity that make them curious. For instance, instead of posting every detail about your day, share just enough to spark their imagination. Perhaps they see you smiling with a group of friends but don't know who's behind the camera. Or they hear about your latest accomplishment through mutual friends but don't have all the details. These little mysteries plant the idea that they're missing out on something important. And that's when the regret begins to set in. Activating their FOMO isn't just about appearances, it's about genuinely building a life you're proud of. Ask yourself, what areas of your life have you been neglecting? Are there passions or goals you've put on hold because you were too focused on them? Now is the time to reignite those flames. Whether it's starting a fitness journey, learning a new skill, or reconnecting with old friends, these steps aren't just about drawing them back, they're about reclaiming your own joy and purpose. As the fear of missing out begins to take root in their mind, they'll start to see you differently. The person they once thought was predictable or overly dependent is now a source of intrigue, someone they can't afford to lose. And that shift often leads them to take action, whether it's reaching out, apologizing, or making an effort to reconnect. Now let's pause for a moment and reflect. What's one area of your life that you can start investing in today? Is there a hobby you've been meaning to revisit, a goal you've been putting off, or a social connection you've neglected? Share it in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you're planning to reclaim your spark and create the kind of life that naturally draws others toward you. And if this advice is resonating with you, take a second to like this video and let me know in the comments how you're planning to activate their FOMO. Your growth inspires others, and your journey could be the push someone else needs to start their own transformation. In the next step, we'll delve into mastering the art of unpredictability, one of the most powerful tools for keeping someone's attention and reigniting their desire. Stay tuned, because this is where things get really interesting. 9. Craft a new identity. What if you could become someone they no longer recognize, the version of yourself they never expected? Crafting a new identity is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about stepping into a stronger, more confident version of yourself, a person so empowered and self-assured that they can't help but see you in an entirely new light. Think about it. Over time, people develop a narrative about you in their minds. They think they know who you are, how you'll react, and what you'll tolerate. This predictability can lead to complacency or even a lack of appreciation. But when you shatter their expectations, when you transform into someone unexpected, it forces them to reevaluate everything they thought they knew about you. Ask yourself, who have you been in this relationship? Have you compromised too much, dimmed your light, or lost touch with your true self in an effort to maintain the connection? If so, now is the time to let go of that version of yourself. It's time to rebuild, not for them, but for you. The process of crafting a new identity begins with self-awareness. Take an honest look at your life and ask, what aspects of myself have I neglected? Are there parts of my personality, dreams, or ambitions that I've allowed to fade into the background? Start by reclaiming these parts of yourself and bringing them to the forefront. Next, consider the areas where you want to grow. Maybe it's developing new skills, refining your communication, or embracing a healthier lifestyle. Set specific, actionable goals for self-improvement, not to impress anyone, but because these changes align with the person you aspire to be. Transformation isn't just about internal growth, it's also about how you present yourself to the world. Have you been expressing yourself authentically, or have you been holding back to fit someone else's expectations? This is your chance to redefine how you show up, whether it's through your style, your confidence, or the way you carry yourself. As you begin this journey of reinvention, they'll start to notice. The person they once took for granted is no longer the same. You're no longer predictable, no longer the person who always bends or waits for their approval. Instead, you're someone who commands attention simply by being unapologetically yourself. But crafting a new identity isn't just about how they see you, it's about how you see yourself. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What thoughts are you feeding your soul? Are they ones of growth, resilience, and self-respect? Or are they rooted in fear and longing? By shifting your mindset, you change the essence of who you are, and that change radiates outward. This process may feel uncomfortable at first. Growth always does. You may encounter resistance, not just from them, but from yourself. Old habits and thought patterns may try to pull you back into familiar roles. But remember, discomfort is a sign that you're moving in the right direction. As you push through it, you'll emerge stronger, more confident, and more aligned with your true self. Imagine their reaction when they finally see the new you. The person they thought they could predict has become a mystery, a puzzle they can't easily solve. This shift often triggers a deep desire to reconnect, not because you're chasing them, but because your transformation makes them realize what they've lost. By the time they come back, you'll be standing in your power. And here's the best part. You'll have the clarity and confidence to decide whether they're worth your time. Your new identity won't depend on their validation. It will be rooted in your own sense of self-worth. Crafting a new identity is the culmination of all the steps we've explored. It's about integrating everything you've learned and using it to build a life you're proud of. When you fully embrace this process, you don't just change the dynamic of your relationship, you transform your entire life. And that, in itself, is the ultimate victory. We've reached the end of this transformative journey, but your work is only just beginning. Each step we've explored, reclaiming your power, shifting your energy field, mastering emotional ambiguity, invoking the scarcity principle, and crafting a new identity, has equipped you with tools to not only change the dynamic of your relationships, but to elevate your sense of self-worth and independence. The essence of this process isn't about manipulation or revenge. It's about embracing the principles of Stoicism, focusing on what you can control, and becoming the person you're proud to be. By detaching from external validation and turning your attention inward, you've begun to break free from the need to chase or cling to anyone who doesn't recognize your value. Here's what's most powerful. As you've followed these steps, you've likely realized that this journey isn't really about them at all. It's about you. It's about your growth, your confidence, and your ability to stand firm in your own identity. When they come crawling back, and they likely will, you'll find yourself in a position of choice, not need. And by then, you may realize that their return isn't as important as it once seemed. This transformation won't happen overnight. It takes patience, discipline, and a willingness to embrace discomfort. But as the Stoics teach us, adversity is the path to growth. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every challenge you face on this journey is an opportunity to become stronger and more resilient. Now, I'd like to leave you with a question. Who do you want to be when this journey is over? Not for them, but for yourself. Take a moment to reflect on the version of yourself that you're striving to create. Picture that person strong, confident, and unapologetically authentic. Let that vision guide you as you move forward. Finally, if this message resonated with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What step spoke to you the most? What actions are you ready to take today? Your journey can inspire others who are searching for their own transformation. If you haven't already, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Together, we're not just surviving relationships, we're mastering them. Let's continue to grow, learn, and transform one step at a time. Thank you for being here, and I wish you strength, clarity, and peace as you step into the next chapter of your life. Remember, the power is in your hands now. Make it count.